I've travelled the whole of Europe to find the largest no entry sign. You're welcome. This is Flags in 50 Places. The flag of Latvia may look like a squinting version of the Austria flag, and both may have a similar tale on how they came to be, but this disproportionate tribe brand has a history spanning hundreds of years. Oh, and their navel jack looks like a plain version of the UK flag. The current red, white, red design is first mentioned in the medieval Rhymid Chronicle of Livonia, which covers the period between 1180 to 1343, which some would argue that is amongst the oldest flags in the world. But don't worry, Denmark, your claim to fame for the oldest still stands. The chronicle tells of a battle that took place around 1279, in which ancient Latgarian tribes from Sessi, the city in which the northern part of modern-day Latvia, went to war, bearing a red flag with a white stripe. Firstly, don't get this flag mixed up with Austria, totally different reds and a thinner white stripe. But where do we get this design from? Okay, so I've decided to try and make my own Latvian flag using this white sheet and this red paint, but I'm not going to be using the conventional paintbrushes. I'm going to try it as if it were the myth. There is a legend that refers to a leader of a Latvian tribe who was wounded in battle and was wrapped in a white sheet, which I have demonstrated thusly. As 1280 Latvian medical services were similar to the waiting lists of the UK's National Health Service after 14 years of Conservative mismanagement, the wounded leader laid there a long time, and soon his sheet was soaked in his blood. All, that is, the part of the sheet that he was lying on remained white. It is said that this sheet was then hoisted in the ongoing battle to show their enemies that this army were willing to shed blood for their country. I guess they won the battle, otherwise it wouldn't have been the greatest symbol for a country. I think I got the sheet inside out. There is another story about a sheep being sacrificed before a battle and a lute player who dipped his white shirt into its blood. The white stripes was where he was holding the shirt, but you're getting the idea that there is a lot of blood involved regardless, and that this is probably why the shade of red is the way it is. Fun fact, the red is called carmine or Latvian red because of its uniqueness. I think the point is that no one really knows the actual origin of the flag, but most talk about white sheets and blood. I know, all very depressing, but to be fair, most red on national flags is representing blood spilled for the country, so let's not get caught up in the specifics here. After blooded shirts in early days, the flag started to make a revival in 1917 when a red, white, red flag was used at events aimed at uniting Latvian regions. There were discussions about the specifics of the design of this flag, and in May of that year, the Latvian Art Promotion Association agreed on a design. Both the flag and the coat of arms were affirmed on the 15th of June 1921. Things changed in 1940 with the Soviet occupation during the war, and apart from a brief period when Nazi Germany was in charge, the national flag of Latvia was outlawed and replaced with the Soviet symbols. The first flag of the Latvian Soviet Socialist Republic was this plain red with a hammer and sickle, along with the initials in Latin for the country name. This was replaced by a more elaborate design in 1953 with a little more uniqueness, with a water style used, and like all Soviet flags of the time, the reverse was exactly the same but minus the hammer and sickle. During this period, any production of the old red, white, red national Latvian flag was considered an anti-state crime and punishable by law. This flag was restored though on the 15th of February 1990, a year and a half before Latvia finally regained independence after the fall of the Soviet Union. The Soviet flags were banned at public events in 2013. The flag has a 1:2 ratio and the colours are 2:1:2 ratio, resulting in this unique layout. And the navel jack, well, that's this double cross design, and talking of double cross, here is the UK flag for good measure. But I think there is a video of this somewhere else. And talking of other episodes, there's more from the Baltics, where you can catch the depressing story of the united colours of Estonia, even though it is one of the most popular tricolour flags. Bon voyage!